My friend, let's call her Anna, grew up in one of those Vermont towns that looks like it was ripped straight out of a postcard. It was a place of rolling green hills, general stores with floors that creaked, and a quiet that was so deep it was sometimes unsettling. Her family's house was right on the edge of town, with their property backing up against a dense, sprawling forest. Those woods were ancient. Even on the sunniest days, the leaves overhead were so thick that the light on the forest floor was all dim and green, and the air always smelled like pine and damp earth. It's the kind of place that just feels full of secrets, where the veil between our world and another could feel surprisingly thin. Anna's older brother, Nathan, was the kind of guy who belonged in those woods. He was strong, confident, with this wild, adventurous streak. While most of us were happy sticking to the marked paths, Nathan was always looking for the forgotten trails, the hidden streams, the places nobody else went. He knew those woods like the back of his hand. He was more at home there than anywhere else. He was so vibrant, so full of life, that the thought of anything in that forest hurting him was just unthinkable. It all started near the end of summer. Nathan came back from one of his long hikes, but he had this different kind of energy buzzing around him. He said he'd found a new trail, one he'd never seen before, so overgrown it was almost invisible. He started spending more and more time there, just disappearing for hours. He'd come back long after the sun had dipped below the trees. At first, nobody thought much of it. That was just Nathan being Nathan. Then, one night at the dinner table, he told them he'd met someone, a girl. His family was thrilled, of course, and started asking all the usual questions. What's her name? Where's she from? But Nathan was weirdly evasive. The few details he gave were just unsettling. He said her name was Elodie, and when they asked where she lived, he just said she was there. She's always on the trail, he told them, his eyes looking somewhere far away, waiting by an old oak tree that was struck by lightning. Anna told me she remembers asking what Elodie was like, and Nathan just shrugged, this faint, dreamy smile on his face. She's quiet. She has this pale skin and long, dark hair, and she's always barefoot, no matter how cold it is. That picture a barefoot girl in the deep, cool Vermont woods was the first little flicker of real unease for his family. In the weeks that followed, the Nathan they knew started to fade away. It was the small things at first. He got quiet, withdrawn. That easy laugh that used to fill the whole house, it was gone, replaced by this brooding silence. He blew off his friends, stopped caring about school. He stopped doing anything at all except taking that daily trip to the unmarked trail to see Elodie. He was losing weight, and these deep, dark circles bloomed under his eyes, making him look like he hadn't slept in days. His parents tried talking to him, figuring it was just an intense first love, you know, a teenage phase. But whenever they tried, they were met with this strange, defensive anger. The unease in the house slowly curdled into real fear. Nathan's health was getting worse at a scary speed. He looked hollowed out, his skin taking on this waxy, almost translucent quality. He was like a ghost of his old self, his vibrant energy being steadily drained away. Anna told me she started hearing him muttering in his sleep the same name over and over again. Elodie. Elodie. Then the strangeness started to leak out of Nathan's room. One morning, Anna's mom went onto the back porch and found a set of muddy footprints on the wooden planks. They were small, slender, and very clearly barefoot. But they weren't leading to the house. They were leading away from it, back towards the trees. The family dog, a big, happy golden retriever who loved the woods as much as Nathan did, suddenly refused to go near the forest's edge. He'd just stand at the edge of the lawn, whining and barking at something none of them could see, the fur on his back standing straight up. And then one evening, as dusk was settling, Anna was looking out her bedroom window and swore she saw it. A flicker of white, like the bottom of a dress, vanishing between the dark trunks of the trees. The breaking point came on a cold afternoon in October. Nathan just collapsed in the kitchen. He wasn't unconscious, just empty. His eyes were wide open but saw nothing. They rushed him to the hospital, where doctors ran a whole battery of tests and found absolutely nothing wrong with him. No virus, no infection, no disease. They were baffled. He was, they said, perfectly healthy. Yet he was fading away right in front of them. In a rare moment of clarity, his eyes focused on his mother. His voice was a dry, rasping whisper. She won't let me go, he said, tears tracing paths down his hollow cheeks. I promised her. I promised I would stay forever. Anna's family wasn't religious, but they were out of options and drowning in desperation. It was her grandmother, a woman who held a quiet belief in the old ways, who made a call. She knew a guy, a friend of a friend, a Lakota spiritual healer who lived a few states over but had a reputation for dealing with, well, things doctors couldn't explain. He agreed to come. The healer was an older, quiet man whose eyes seemed to see more than what was on the surface. He walked through their home, listened to the entire story without saying a word, and then walked the edge of the property, his gaze fixed on the woods. His face grew grim. He came back inside and told them that Nathan hadn't just met a girl. He had stumbled upon a restless spirit. He called her a hanger-on, a lonely, desperate soul who had latched onto Nathan's vibrant life force and was slowly, methodically consuming it. These kinds of spirits, he explained, are often born from sudden, tragic deaths, their emotional turmoil tying them to the place they died. To weaken the spirit's hold, he said, they needed to perform a binding ritual. He asked for the spirit's name. Anna's mother, her voice trembling, gave him the name Nathan had whispered in his delirium. Elodie! As the healer began the ritual, using sacred herbs and earth he'd gathered from the trailhead, he said he saw a vision. He described a young woman from the 19th century, with pale skin and dark hair. She had been waiting on that very patch of land for a lover who was supposed to run away with her. He never showed. She was caught in a sudden, brutal blizzard and died of exposure, all alone and heartbroken. Her body was buried in an unmarked grave, lost somewhere under the deep canopy of those Vermont woods. The second the healer finished the binding ritual, the house itself reacted. The windows rattled in their frames like they'd been hit by a physical blow. A bitter, impossibly cold wind ripped through the sealed home, snuffing out the candles the healer had lit. And from the woods, faint but clear, came the sound of a woman's wail, sound of pure, raw rage and loss. After that night, Nathan's condition stabilized. He was eventually discharged from the hospital, but he wasn't the same person. The physical wasting stopped, but the light in his eyes never really came back. He has a hole in his memory that's several months long. He has no recollection of Elodie, of the trail, of any promises he made. There's just a blank, terrifying space. The family knew they couldn't stay. The presence in the woods no longer felt just lonely. It felt violated and hostile. Within a month, they'd sold the house for a loss, packed up everything they owned, and moved 2,000 miles away, leaving that quiet Vermont town behind for good. Stories like this, rooted in local folklore, are a chilling reminder that some places hold on to their past with a terrifying grip. Many parts of Vermont are associated with tales of strange disappearances and lingering spirits. If you've got a story from your hometown that still gives you the chills, I want to hear about it in the comments below. And if you want more tales from the darker corners of the world, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Anna tells me her brother is alive, but that a part of him got left behind in those woods. He's a quiet, haunted man, forever shadowed by an experience he can't even remember. He has an unexplainable fear of forests and the cold. The trail he found is still there, now known by the locals as Whisperwood Trail. People stay away, but the legend says that on quiet, moonless nights, you can still hear a girl's voice whispering on the wind. She's not calling for Nathan anymore. She's just calling, waiting for someone new to wander down her path. Anna's family got out, but they never truly got away. She says that sometimes, even now, when the wind blows just right, she can smell damp earth and pine, and for just a second, she feels a deep cold that has nothing to do with the weather. It really makes you wonder, how far does a ghost claim really reach?